off your TV if it's on and pay close attention to breaking news that could soon get you out of TV, back to doing things you used to, just like it's good.
So I just came back from the past recovery and I was excited
I'm a
about
board-certified
to
naturopathic physician, and I own one
go
of
to
the most
sleep with
respected
makeup on
holistic
because
medicine practices in New England. This is where I teach patients and where I've taught as a clinical preceptor in the Yale School of Medicine. I have a degree in physiology from UCLA and a doctorate from Bastyr University, which is known as the most prestigious and respected naturopathic medical education in the world. My education and training has earned me the respect of many of the smartest and most experienced physicians in every specialty, and they regularly refer their most complex and challenging patients who come to my office when all else has failed.
Go, young man,
So,
go,
for
young
over
man,
20
go.
years, I've been observing patterns in people with joint pain. How they look, how they feel, how they move, what their x-rays and their MRIs look like, which is sometimes pretty surprising. How the joint pain starts, how their joint pain heals, why it sometimes doesn't, and what can be done to get rid of it quickly. It's kind of crazy to hear myself say that I now have decades of knowledge from studying both the published research in science and medicine and studying in the real world with real people, many of whom are just like you. Maybe you've been given a diagnosis for your condition, so it has a name. Maybe you've been given a referral for an imaging study or to another specialist. Maybe you've been given a prescription medication or an injection or an infusion to treat your symptoms. Maybe you've been given a date for surgery or even had a full-blown joint replacement. But I am guessing that there's one thing that you have never been given, and that's a full understanding of what is actually causing your pain. I mean, the true, real, underlying cause of your pain needs to be addressed in order to get out of poverty and back to living your best life. And by the end of this presentation, you will understand why you hurt. You'll take back control of the true underlying causes of your pain, and you'll learn exactly how to use that control to end this problem for good. Now, my experience with people who have seen other doctors, like orthopedists and rheumatologists who have tried everything, has earned me national recognition for helping even the most challenging cases to finally get lasting pain relief. And it's also earned me a reputation as a pain exterminator because of the solutions I developed to kill the story terminated life I will be telling you about here today. I have seen countless patients in pain, and helping them get out of it has put me in a really unique position. Now, the problem is that I've also seen far too many people have their lives stolen from them despite following the traditional conventional advice that they get from their doctors. These are folks that feel trapped in a prison of pain, living their lives from one doctor's appointment to the next, losing their independence as they become more and more dependent on medication. Having insurance companies about coping, refills, that becomes their full-time job. And generally feeling like the big right role is growing and darker. It's a painful thing to watch, and it got to a point where I couldn't stand seeing this happen anymore without taking action. I was watching my own patients. It's an incredible natural pain, but with a waiting list at the hospital getting longer and longer every day. And that was just the people that lived within driving distance of my office here in Connecticut. And I knew that there were millions and millions more just like them in big cities and in small towns, all across America. And that is why I made it my life's mission to reach people beyond the four walls of my family and teach people about the real root cause of their joint pain so they can benefit from my natural solution and get the same results I've been seeing with my patients. And I'm grateful to report that it works. And this turns out to be the best decision of my professional life. This solution has helped over 250,000 men and women with miserable just like you, to finally be able to live their lives how they are supposed to be lived. Traditional inside the box campaign solutions just weren't that effective for the people who can see. These are folks whose lives have been reduced to a constant cycle of new medications with new side effects, and then treating those side effects with more medication and never really getting better. In fact, I would frequently review years worth of prognosis specialists and see if it's more steady worsening of quality of life with every office visit. This is devastating, and you might actually feel this. You get your hopes up, you go listen to an expert doctor or specialist, you find hope that the day is going to be the day that you say goodbye to your 401k.
We have a lot to tell you about later in the show, big announcement. But first, celebrating, not denigrating, that's the focus, I think. Now, this is week 6 of President Trump's second term, and the best way to describe the policy so far, unabashedly pro-American.
We got one badass president now. On this goal is we want your children and grandchildren to be able to raise the family in security and comfort and it's that we all want. We're at a level, I don't think we've been at this level maybe ever as the Republican Party. We're a bigger, better, stronger party than ever before. More people in our party than ever before. But the people have given us a resounding mandate for dramatic change in Washington, and we are going to deliver it. We're going to use it, and we're going to make America great again by using it.
And he got a resounding reception at CPAC over the weekend. And our friend and pollster, Mark Penn, he released a big survey today showing that by a 58-42 margin, voters believe Trump is doing a better job than Biden. Now, overall, Trump's job approval is at 52, but his two major domestic policies, the border and cutting waste, are extremely popular. Ditto for Trump's emphasis on merit over DEI and hiring. But what's a Democrat? Well, resisting and repeating their same old tired lines.
He's modeling everything on this autocratic, authoritarian, dictatorial, king-like presence that he wants to play inside of our government.
There's been one through line with Donald Trump that has been his willingness to do whatever Putin's bidding.
He's going after critical jobs to save pennies in order to give himself more room to give big tax cuts to the wealthiest Americans and the
So
wealthiest.
that's what they got. That's it. That's what they got. I haven't heard any of that stuff. Now, while the majority of voters don't agree with Trump on every policy, what's key is that they do feel much more optimistic about America and the economy. It was in the low 30s, remember, for years. And while Congress remains underwater, the Democrats are in real trouble.
I think you're seeing a retrospective assessment of Biden and the direction the Democratic Party was going. Really a lot more negative than it was on election day. And they're looking at the contrast on immigration, on economic policy, on some of the social policies. And boy, they're reevaluating. The Democratic Party, I've never seen anything like this. This is a record low for the Democratic Party in terms of favorability. It has fallen really, really way down, and I don't think there's any leadership right now that's going to be able to bring that back.
Now, how do you resurrect your party, though, by protecting red tape and the bureaucracy, by trying to gin up sympathy for federal workers who need to get real jobs in the real world like most of America? Ever heard of it? Now, do Democrats really think that Americans will stop liking Trump because he fires these people?
I felt absolutely infuriated getting this email with a demand within 48 hours to provide a response on what I did within the last week or face termination. This is clearly an attempt from Elon Musk to harass and push and intimidate the federal workforce, which is part of his broader plan to cut the federal workforce and privatize public sector services.
Now, making a list of what you accomplished in a week, that's what she was whining about, is harassment and bullying? Of course, because that requires, what, 15 minutes of work? Now, these are the same types who think requiring them to return to the office, and they haven't been oftentimes for 4 years, that basically amounts to a hate crime.
I thought it was great, because we have people that don't show up to work and nobody even knows that they work for the government. So by asking the question, tell us what you did this week, what he's doing is saying, are you actually working? And what they're doing is they're trying to find out who's working for the government. Are we paying other people that aren't working? And, you know, where's all that, where's the money going?
And not only is that not fair to insist on accountability and fiscal sanity in government, but it's also deeply patriotic. So some of the team are showing their love for America. Just like moms and dads try to stick to a budget, they try to save money, try to make money for their family. Trump wants the same for America at every level. But what the DC Youth Party has done for decades has been deeply unpatriotic. Printing, borrowing, and spending money like there's no tomorrow. Never changing course. The result ultimately being, they kept going the way they were going and total collapse of the American system. That's what Elon Musk has been talking about. But Trump and his team, they celebrate America by embracing sweeping reforms.
The dark days of high taxes, crushing regulations, rampant inflation, flagrant corruption, government weaponization, and total incompetence. Those days are over. They're over. But we cannot stop now. We're going to push forward every single day. In the immortal words of that great American hero, Captain John Paul Jones, I have not yet begun to fight.
And the place went totally crazy and sick. And I thought to myself, so many young people, and you know, it's mostly young men, but young women too. His numbers are up among young women. Think about Trump. Think about it. This generation, younger generation, has heard for years that America is systemically racist. They were told repeatedly to check their privilege at the door and to feel even guilty about their success, guilty about their background. How boring and stressing that message is. But Trump, he's always a candidate that always knew that America deserved and even wanted more. I will convene a White House task force to salute to America 250. It will be responsible for coordinating with state and local governments to ensure not just one day of celebration, but an entire year of festivities across the nation to create the Great American State Fair, a unique one-year exhibition featuring pavilions from all 50 states. It's going to be fabulous for 250th anniversary. Now that Trump is president. Imagine if there's Kamala Harris. That would have been a depressing event.
Okay, let's
Now, look, there are plenty of challenges ahead, including inflation, which Trump has to tackle very smartly. And he's given us a profound opportunity to reset and revive our national, and he's well on his way. And by the way, don't listen to the left. This is not mindless patriotism. It's how a nation survives and thrives. And that's the end.
What did you do last week? If you work for the federal government and can't answer that by midnight, you might be getting doomed. This weekend, every DC bureaucrat got this message in
Hi,
mind.
what do you need?
Please reply to the
Sure, no problem.
bullets of what you accomplished last week with a deadline. And if you don't answer, that's kind of your answer. I know this. Great. Because we have people that don't show up to work and nobody even knows what's the government. So if I answer the question, how would you feel to do the same? Are you actually working? And then she tells me, yes, to the promise. Yes, to the promise.
Hey, so I know you've been there already, but Pooh just called and said I can come through and get a tour of Dre's studio as a thank you for what we did for him. Lamar crazy ass her, so you know that fool gonna be there too. But it's gonna be cool. We'll do it whenever it's good for you. Man, I'm excited for this. Look, bring a friend if you like. This one gonna hit different, all right? Peace, homie.
And the deadline is at 6 a.m. tomorrow. And we're going to send you
and showed me what their bullet points are tomorrow. I'll let you know if I fired them. Nobody on my team was angry when I sent the email. But for some reason, special workers are. Tell us about this email and what it was like receiving it and what you all talked about after dinner.
Sure. I got this email Saturday afternoon, about 3 p.m. And I felt absolutely infuriated getting this email with a demand within 48 hours to provide a response.
Man, this is it. We've got everything we need to take that Titan, baby. You ready? Cause I'm ready.
Putting together a list of accomplishments is the most work some of these bureaucrats did all year. If it's that hard for you to name 5 things you've accomplished in a week, that should tell you something. And if it makes you mad or infuriated that you're being asked, that should also tell you something. It tells me a lot of these federal workers don't want to justify their jobs because they feel they're entitled. And that's a bad attitude. And that attitude's about to change. And was it just me, or did that worker sound like she was reading from a script? I think I saw her eyes moving back and forth. And what, has this woman never had a review? If the answer is no, then that's a huge problem. People are getting laid off. Tell me why you should step. If the CEO of Bank of America asks me, Jesse, what did you accomplish last week? I don't run to CNN and cry and tell the anchor I'm mad. If I've been doing a good job, I'm psyched for the opportunity to present my boss with a list of my amazing accomplishments so I can get a raise and a promotion and keep helping the company. You either have a winning attitude or the attitude of the loser. The winner loves the email. The loser is whining.
This nonsensical email from Elon Musk acting like we're in kindergarten.
The new Trump administration is reveling in its bad knuckle approach to government.
This is so sloppy, the way Elon Musk is handling this.
Why is the media treating these workers like the CEO's spoiled brat son? You know, who comes and goes as he pleases, drinks at lunch, and harasses the secretaries? He's untouchable. We all know the guy. The media is treating the federal workforce like they're untouchable. Oh, you can't make them come to the office. You can't fire them. You definitely can't log into their computers, and you can't email them on a weekend. These are public servants. They're supposed to serve the public. When we ask, how are you serving us? That's an issue. Maybe it's because they're not serving us. They're serving themselves. Journalist Chris Rufo just uncovered a deep state sex chat at the National Security Agency. Chat logs show Intel officials were using the chat room to share their fetishes, kinks, and brag about getting sex changes. It goes back 2 years. A transgender sex chat while they were on the clock. When you think about it, this was a taxpayer-funded transgender sex chat.
Yep.
Here's a taste. Viewer warning. This one guy had just had his manhood surgically removed. One of the weirdest things that gives me euphoria is when I pee. I don't have to push anything down to make sure it aims right. Here's another. Getting my blank zapped by a laser was shocking. Fine, I'll just do one more. This one guy is talking about how excited he is that the bulge is gone. And he can wear bikinis after his sex change surgery. I know. And these are Intel officials. These people are in charge of guarding the nation's deepest secrets.
Wow.
And spying on our enemies.
Wow.
How mentally tough are these people if
Wow.
they're having to chop off their body
Wow.
and then celebrating it on a work computer?
Wow.
You
These
know,
the type of people we got working?
somebody like that.
Are we that fucking stupid?
You know, China or Russia or the Iranians, what they would do if they got their hands on this.
Man.
But then they compromise every single
One of them people. Yeah, all them assholes.
Elon, what did you accomplish at work last week? I sexted with my colleagues about pouring hot wax on my nipples. This is what happens when 96% of the federal workforce works from home. They're having sex change surgeries while they're working from home. and their bosses don't even know about it. I bet we paid for those exchange tokens. And then they're all in the group chat all day. Hey, how was your operation? Mine was great. Still a little sore, but now I can live my own truth. If you don't report to work, that's another scam. Who the hell, if I'm staying home, let's see, my golf handicap would get down to very low number. You'd be shocked if I told you the real number. But I would be so good that I'd try to get on tour. I would be so good. I'd call up, I'd say, listen, I'm really working here. Where am I? The Senate's even being put to work. Majority Leader Thune is making senators work late into the night. And ready? They're working on Fridays now. Yeah. And no surprise, senators are already complaining. They want to go home. Democrat Senator Mark Kelly, also a pilot, says he used to rent a plane and fly himself home every Friday. Alas, he's barely flown on that plane this year. He says unless I want to do it on the weekend, and that's if I get back on the weekend. We're $36 trillion in debt because of guys like that. And they're complaining they have to work on a Friday. Not even a summer Friday. A Friday in February. USAID's been emptied out. 2,000 workers were just fired. Should have taken the buyout like it had to pay. It does make sense though. They didn't want to leave because the gravy train was just too thick and tasty. For Haiti alone, USAID doled out $2 billion in contracts. Guess how much of that money actually went to Haiti? 2%. Only 2% of the $2 billion went to where it was supposed to. Half of it went to all of these aid groups based around D.C. You can't give it to Haiti directly, they just steal the money, so we're going to give it to all of our liberal friends.
That steal the money. That steal the money.
And then give it to Haiti.
After they steal the money.
Are liberals just stealing from poor black people and calling it compassion?
Yep.
A New York Post report says the Red Cross raised $500 million for Haiti. And that money was supposed to build homes for 130,000 people. They built 6. $500 million to build 6 homes in Haiti, where a home is not really Mar-a-Lago. And here's a juicy one for you. Meet Latricia Adams. She was an advisor to the Biden White House after she got that jab I had. The Free Beacon reports that while she was working as a White House advisor, our friend Latricia applied for a contract. And not just any contract, a $28 million contract. This $20 million contract was for environmental justice. And right before Biden leaves office, he gives this $20 million contract to Latricia. Her group, Young, Gifted, and Green, got the $20 million. More like Young, Grifted, and Green. Does Latricia have any background in environmental science? No, not really. 10 years ago, Latricia was a high school Spanish teacher. She has a bachelor's in Spanish. She's based in Memphis, Tennessee. Not the greenest city. And you know what Biden does? Biden audits Pete Hegseth. This lady, Latricia, screaming for an audit. We used to prosecute graft at the Department of Justice. I guess we don't anymore. Latricia can just walk out of the White House with $20 million. What did Latricia do with the $20 million? Well, we went to their website. The only thing they did last year was the Black Maternal and Environmental Health Day. They started a holiday. It's April 4th. These people look really legit. This is exactly why Trump wants to go visit Fort Knox. We have found hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud so far, and we've just started. We're actually going to Fort Knox to see if the gold is there. If maybe somebody sold the gold. Tons of gold. Finding waste, fraud, and abuse isn't even that hard. You can save money with a stroke of a pen.
ODNI itself is a pretty small organization compared to most other elements, but even in that small organization, getting rid of DEI saved American taxpayers roughly $20 million, literally the stroke of President Trump's pen.
Not even Nancy Pelosi's goes through. According to reports, Trump's looking to sell off the 18-story Nancy Pelosi federal building in San Francisco. The building's empty because HHS told its employees not to work there anymore because it's too dangerous. Pelosi's building surrounded by homeless, needles, and prostitutes. It's about time America had a house clean.
The fraudsters, liars, Jews, globalists, and deep state bureaucrats are being sent packing. The illegal alien criminals are being sent home. We're draining the swamp and we're restoring government by the people, for the people.
And welcome to Hannity. And tonight, President Trump's effort to secure your border is working. On Saturday, border crossing, they dropped to their lowest level in 15 years. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem brings us the very latest in just a moment. Also, it is official. Vivek Ramaswamy, he has now launched his campaign for governor in the great state of Ohio, the Buckeye State. You don't want to miss out our interview with him coming up. But first, President Trump continues to work at record-breaking speed. He's showing no signs of slowing down at all. Earlier today, he hosted French President Emmanuel Macron for a meeting at the White House to address a number of topics and also express optimism about resolving the war between Russia and Ukraine. Let's take a look.
I've been elected by the American people to restore common sense to Washington and indeed to the world. And I believe strongly that it's in the best interest of the United States, the best interest in Europe, the best interest of Ukraine, and indeed the best interest of Russia to stop the killing now and bring the world to peace. When I got here, one of the first calls I made was to President Putin, and we were treated with great respect, and they want to end this war. So that's a big thing. I will be meeting with President Zelensky. In fact, he may come in this week or next week to sign the agreement, and which would be nice. I'd love to meet him. We'd meet at the Oval Office. So the agreement's being worked on now. They're very close to a final deal. It will be a deal with rare earths and various other things.
All right, President Trump also continues to score big wins on the economy. Remember, the left, the media mob spent months and months and months spewing doom and gloom predictions about Donald Trump and his proposed tariffs, which are now reciprocal tariffs. They tariff us? Okay, we'll tariff you back. What arena do you want to play in? Well, guess what? In response to President Trump's proposed tariffs, this morning, a huge announcement from Apple. A historic $500 billion investment in U.S. manufacturing and innovation. The CEO of Apple, Tim Cook, says he is bullish on the future of American innovation. This one deal is expected to create tens of thousands of new jobs and a new manufacturing plant in Texas. God bless Texas. Now, let me say this, by the way, on the issue of tariffs in Canada. There's a movement within today's New York Post that Canadians might be boycotting the United States. Now, I have a message to Canada, too. If you don't appreciate everything the U.S. has been doing to your national defense, and we've been paying the freight for NATO that you've not been paying, and that has helped your economy, and if you want to boo our national anthem because we call you out for not securing your border, or the fact that you have tariffs on our country, it's not going to fly anymore. Friendships have got to work both ways. In Canada, you have a population of a little over 41 million people, and the U.S. has over 340 million people. Now, I'm just saying, I've never supported a boycott my entire career. But if this Boycott America movement from Canada gets legs, then maybe I'll do something I've never done before in my career. Maybe we can start and support a boycott movement of Canada. Let's put the ball back in your court. You might want to rethink this idea. It's better off with both friends. And while President Trump secures massive investments in the U.S.
There we go. Balance restored. I get that everyone's just doing their job, but man, fuck those guys. Sending some money your way.
It needs to be done since the government is, quote, inefficient. That's stating the obvious. According to one former DOD insider, DOJ is sending, quote, shockwaves through the Pentagon. And over at the EPA, another $67 million of your money in grants for left-wing groups pushing Joe Biden's radical environmental justice mandate. That's gone. And over the weekend, Fox News learned that Border Patrol had now taken control, gotta admit this is funny, of the former USAID headquarters in Washington, D.C., after Elon Musk and DOJ exposed the tens of billions of dollars of that organization's wasteful spending. Great. That's money for our kids and grandkids to pay down our debt. create the new generation of weaponry, including an Iron Dome for the country, secure our borders, become energy dominant, bring back law and order. Not a bad agenda. Better alternative. Now, despite all of the work,
traditional knee braces don't fix